Alright, welcome back to the channel. Warhammer Man back in the studio. Make sure to like and subscribe for all types of tabletop gaming, painting, modeling, conversion, pretty much anything to do with tabletop wargaming content. So today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to be taking a look at the Army Painter Mega Paint set. Just got these Army Painter Mega Paints. There are 50 paints in the set, 39 acrylics, 4 washes, 5 metallics, and 2 of their special effects paints, as well as a free paintbrush. So not only do I want to actually do an unboxing and take a look at the actual paint range, but I want to try out some of the actual paints, not just on a paper towel. Our 50 paints. We see also our paintbrush, and then there's one empty plastic tray as well. If you choose to keep storing your paints in here, lets you buy up to 10 more paints and still kind of store them in that same box. And then also comes with a sort of like how to get started book right here as well. So the book has quite a bit of stuff in there. Let's kind of flip through that and then we'll take a look at the actual paints. So here we have the little book, basically just a little free kind of pamphlet showing off the stuff. It talks about, not only what you need to do to get started, then actually priming your miniatures, base coating them, how to use some of the shades, and then varnishing them as well. Shows you how to do basically everything in nice easy steps, and then has some pretty attainable pictures of what you could expect using those paints. Tells you exactly what paints they use, talks about all types of modeling tools, pretty much anything that a beginner would want to check out. See, there's a little bit on some of the tools like files, drills, talks a little bit about what primer you should use underneath your paints depending on what type of effect you're trying to get. Shows you how to put them on a painting stick and prime them. Really is a nice layout. And then here we see a little diagram of all of the Army Painter paints that are available, and essentially just shows you what's going on. The white cap for the acrylics, the black cap for the metallics, red cap for the quick shades, and then white cap also for effects paints. And then of course we know the brand new contrast paints are out as well, and this book and set actually predates them, so they have these silver caps also. And then just continues kind of showing it off. Shows you basically how they go together, like different paints you should be using together, the certain reds progressing through the line. There's a little picture of the actual quick shades. So cool little, pamphlet in here, especially if you're getting started or new to the hobby and you're not even sure, what products are available or what they're used for. And we had a couple little inserts in there as well, kind of slid out. So this is Army Painter product line. Again, just kind of showing off some of the stuff, the quick shade set, basically just showing all the colors, the tools. Again, just kind of demonstrating all the various things available. And then one more time, the 124 war paint range. And then also there are some other paints as well. We obviously have some air ranges, and then like we talked about, the contrast paints as well are now available. So here's our empty one. And then we have also our 50 paints. So here's the brush that comes in the set. It's like a little 3-sided brush. I guess, nice little grip on it. It is a Wargamer Regiment brush, and that is included in the set for free. And then obviously we see here all the different paints from the cover there. So we see we have basically 5 metallic paints, 4 shade paints. There are 2 effect paints in the set, and then just various different colors. So I can kind of take a closer look there. So here we have for the shades, there's a soft tone, a flesh tone, and then the strong tone and dark tone. So basically we have sort of like a more skin tone, like a little more red kind of wash. And then the soft tone is like a light brown. The strong tone is like a medium or dark brown. And then the dark tone is basically like a black wash. And then we have our matte black right here. And you can get a full list of what comes in the set on Army Painter as well. But we see there's nice amounts of like tones of everything. So you have enough stuff to do like a base for all your metallics. And then, basically do a shade over top of those, and then come back through and do a highlight in a lighter metallic or with that same initial metallic, possibly even mixing some colors. So we see shining silver, plate mail metal, gunmetal, and then we have greedy gold and weapon bronze. So that is it for those. And then obviously we have our matte black in this as well. And then let's kind of take a look through some of these other ones here. And then it is clearly marked right on here as well. It says effects, so there's no doubt in your mind that that is in fact an effects paint. And then of course we have tanned flesh, barbarian flesh, elven flesh, and moon dust. So we have quite the range and selection. We have a dark oak brown, a fur brown, leather brown, monster brown, and desert yellow. So obviously without mixing these up, the actual like tone of them is not going to be exactly what we're expecting here. You'd see some of them get a little lighter or darker once they're nice and shaken up. We also see there are little labels on there, like little notes on there that says 100% match, so that you could buy a specific army painter primer like can spray and essentially know that these colors will match that spray perfectly, which is nice if you wanted to, you know, do a whole army in a main color, like say you were doing a bunch of red guys or a bunch of blue guys or brown. You can know that you have a paint to match that. If you need to do any touch-ups or anything like that, but you can go ahead and spray your whole army in that one main color and then add on your other colors. And so we're looking at these in no particular order. I'm not going through the color wheel or anything like that. But next we have the Angel Green, Wizard's Orb, Green Skin, Goblin Green, and Jungle Green. A nice assortment from very dark to almost like a turquoisey, a rich mid-green, and then also a very bright green. And next we have the Glistening Blood. That's our effects paint, so that one is to simulate blood. Again, very clearly marked with the white effects at the bottom there, so you don't accidentally think it's a regular paint. Then we have Dragon Red, Pure Red, Lava Orange, and Demonic Yellow. And then onto our blues, we have Deep Blue, Ultramarine Blue, Crystal Blue, Electric Blue, and Void Shield Blue. Again, very nice range of colors. None of them seem like they are redundant. They are all nice and separate from each other. So you basically have, I like to have a minimum of 3 of every paint color. Ideally, if you're not going to be mixing paints as much, so you can have like a regular just base color and then a highlight color and then of course like an edge highlight. Now you can obviously use less paints and mix them, but one nice thing about this army paint set is that it is very reasonably priced for the amount of paints you get, and the dropper bottles already, you know, set up and ready to go. You don't have to worry about converting them over to dropper bottles. You don't have to worry about what colors you need to pick out or specifically choosing a couple of each. You get a nice discount on this army painter set, and it is loaded up with various paints. And continuing down the line, we have our Army Green, Scaly Hide, Necrotic Flesh, Skeleton Bone, and Mummy Robes. Very nice selection of like the green to sort of a tan or brown look. And we can sort of see that some of them are more cooler colors and warmer colors, and a nice selection of all of them. And here is our last tray. So we see the Dark Stone, Necromancer Cloak, Uniform Gray, Ash Gray, and Matte White. We also see a little card that comes in the set right here. And that says, smashed, missing items, broken, please contact us immediately. Contact at thearmypainter.com and we'll fix your stuff. And thank you on there. So that is very cool. Obviously acknowledging that sometimes things will be missing or damaged. And here's our last few paints. And here's our last few paints. We have Warlock Purple, Alien Purple, Orc Blood, Grimoire Purple, and Crusted Sore. So very nice selection of paints. So we obviously have 50 paints in the set. Everything displayed on the box. There is a nice full list of everything that's in here. So you have everything you need to get started with this set, including your first paintbrush, and then also little room to expand your range. Now, I don't personally like to store my paints laying down. So for me, the next thing to do is some sort of paint rack or a little shelf or something like that. And then you can have everything stored upright. You don't have to worry about if one of the caps is not on or anything. But one thing I did notice with these paints right off the bat is, here is the Warlock Purple. And you will notice there's a small gap in between where the lid is and the actual like rim of the plastic. But they screw on here pretty tight. And then when you look up in there, there's a tiny little like point that basically comes down and clogs the tip of the paint, so it's not leaking out all inside here. So these have obviously been laying on their sides for as long as they were packaged, and you don't see a bunch of buildup of paint up in the tip there. Matter of fact, a couple of them that I opened had no paint buildup at all. Now, one important thing to notice about these is, I use the Army Painter mixing balls. in all of my paints. So I'll need to go through and add mixing balls to all these because they do not contain any yet. I typically just put one in each, but you could obviously put in two. They're cheap enough that it wouldn't be a big deal, but they really do help to mix up like the heavier sediment that settles at the bottom with the actual all the pigment basically with the median that these paints are composed of. So it's very important in my opinion to use either a mixer or mixing balls just to make sure that you're actually getting the paint and using it the way that it's intended to be used and fully mixed. So that is the full paint set right there. Definitely very exciting and looking forward to using that. This set has been out for a while, so I'm sure you've seen some various reviews online and whatnot. But when I went through and looked at them, I could not find any legitimate comprehensive reviews. A lot of the ones I saw, the paints were not adequately mixed up and they were trying to test or use them. And then most of the ones I saw, they weren't actually like painting anything. They were just sort of putting a couple colors out and putting them on a paper towel or piece of paper. I think the best thing to do is actually demo the paints, actually use them and see, I am a full-time commission painter. Are these the type of paints that I could actually use to paint clients' high quality, top choice miniatures? Or are they lacking in some departments? Do I have, any input as to, are they a little too thick, a little too runny? Do they coat in one coat? Are they nice? And I've experienced quite a few of the higher and lower quality paints. So I know what's going on and I can give you guys an honest review of what I think of them. But let's go ahead and move on from here. And then we can get into some actual demoing and using of the paints in the future as well. But before we do, I want to look at one more thing. Welcome back to the channel, Warhammer Man back in the studio, and today we're taking a look at the Army Painter Speed Paint Mega Set. The Army Painter was kind enough to send me this set. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you to make sure to like and subscribe for Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team, Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, and warcry content. Anything to do with D&D, tabletop minis, and of course, all types of painting and customization tutorials as well. That being said, let's take a look at this. So I'm under no obligation to review this product from Army Painter, but they did send me this complimentary, but I want to take a look and give you guys an honest review. You know that I am an experienced painter and commissioned painter at a higher level. So using these paints and seeing essentially what would a beginner or even a more experienced painter, how are these a tool in the toolkit? Are they going to use and function? How they are pitched? But the idea basically being that you can get the base, shadow, and highlight in a single coat. So basically you want to go ahead and either prime your models with either a white or a lighter gray, and then possibly even like a bone color. And then after that, you want to go in and use this in a single coat. I'm also going to be testing these out with a zenathal prime, which is basically using like a darker coat on everything, black or dark gray. Sometimes you can even use brown or various other shade. And then you're essentially using like a lighter color, typically white, to do a spray from the top that represents or kind of gives the impression of the sun in like a top-down kind of look. So it allows you to have basically built into it like some shadows, not just the way like these speed paints will work, where essentially gravity will kind of pull them down into the cracks and towards the bottom of the model, but also the underside of certain areas will remain dark because we're only going to be priming from the top. So with this 24 paint set, we're going to have our 23 various paints, as well as, of course, the median as well. And then it includes a free brush inside. There is also a starter set available, which contains 10 paints. Does not contain the median, but has a nice little set to get if you're not sure exactly what you're looking for. And then also these will be available individually also. You do get a discount if you buy one of the sets, and then you just add in the other paints you need. There are a couple paints that don't come in the starter set that I would definitely get if I was just going to purchase the starter set. Like I would definitely want to have the Grim Black, the Holy White, and the Speed Paint Median. Other than that, it's a nice selection in the 10 paint set there. But this is everything currently available for them. I'm sure in the future there will be other various paints that they add in, but let's take a look. First we have Slaughter Red, we have Blood Red, Purple Alchemy, Hive Dweller Purple, Crusader Skin, Dark Wood, Malignant Green, Pallid Bone, Hardened Leather, Sand Golem, Zealot Yellow, Fire Giant Orange, Camo Cloak, Magic Blue, High Lord Blue, Plasmatic Bolt, Orc Skin, Absolution Green, Speed Paint Median, Holy White, Gravelord Gray, Grim Black, Runic Gray, and Cloudburst Blue. So quite the selection. Looks like pretty much everything we would need in here to get rolling with. I can't imagine any specific colors right off the top of my head that I would want. Of course, for my style, I would like to use some metallics with these as well. So it's nice to have some other metallics and possibly some other various paints for doing highlights, edge highlights if you needed to add in or do any additional stuff in the future. But the idea of these is that you don't necessarily need to do that. You can basically just slap on one nice coat of these and that you'll get all those effects built in. So the truth is though, we want to really try them out and see, do they live up to their name, their reputation, and do they achieve what we're hoping for? So I think the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to Zenathal Prime up some minis and then work through them. And I think for this specific project, I think I'm probably going to use like some fantasy style miniatures and sort of go through them in batches and see how they turn out. So I want to make sure that they all look like they're from, the same game, make sure they have a nice look to them, but all look nice as well, and then see how long does it actually take, how well do these paints do what they're supposed to, and then what type of effect a regular person can achieve using these paints and these paints alone. So all right, so here is everything that comes inside. So we see a army painter painting guide, and inside here basically just kind of showing us exactly how to paint everything, discussing painting with some friends, showing off the various paints available in their line, making sure that you shake them thoroughly, displaying a couple of various ways that the color wheel works and color theory, a few different sort of colors that go with each other for base coat, highlight, and then of course some various shades, a bunch of the tools, how to clean your models, how to differentiate between plastic and resin, how to do our priming. Very nice little comprehensive paint guide here. Definitely a nice thing to have if you are a beginner and you're not sure what's available or how particular things should be used. And then obviously reference to their website. So that's a nice thing to have included in there. And then we have 2 cases of the actual paints themselves. So we see also the brush contained inside here. So the brush contained in the set is the Wargamer Monster brush. So it's a pretty nice sized brush there. So it looks like it's going to hold quite a bit of the speed paints. So we're just going to grab one of our paints here. Here we have the Zealot Yellow. We see that these are coated. So the tops are color coded with a silver top. So they are easily identifiable as the speed paints, very clearly marked. And then each one has obviously a, sort of color kind of displaying what to expect. So we see they're broken down into sort of like that square where it shows what the highlight, the, shade, and then the regular base color will look like once you apply that to a model, kind of displaying what to expect. Inside of these as well, we can hear they already come with the mixing balls, which is very nice. These need to be shaken up very nicely as, they sort of separate more than your typical paint would. So you'll have all of your pigments and like the bigger bits settle to the bottom. And then obviously our median kind of separates from them. So giving them a very, very nice shake, not just like the little guy that I did right there, mixes them up quite well. Or if you have a mixer. The bottles themselves are very, very nicely sealed, a very tight cap on those. And then we see there's like a little nub down in there that stops all the paint from leaking out. So these are obviously laying down, which is something I would not normally recommend or do myself. But we see that there's not a ton spilled in there and all crusty inside the cap. So they do seal very well. They are very nice quality bottles. And then when you tighten them, it doesn't feel like you're going to rip the top off or break them or anything like that. So overall, nice quality for the packaging. Very clearly displayed. It says shake well on there and everything. So nice setup. So they obviously look nice, come packaged nice. It is a nice selection. And then also we have the starter set. You do get a discount buying them in a big set like this. But more importantly though, it's not important that they come in a nice box or a nice case or a nice bottle or they have a nice label on them. The most important thing is how well do they actually work and do they achieve what they need to achieve. So we're definitely going to be taking a look at that, demonstrating them, going to use them on some just regular prime models, but also going to go through on some Zenathal primed models as well and see what type of effects do we get. Do we see a benefit in doing just regular primed or Zenathal primed models? And then how well can we control these? how well do they coat and achieve our 3 levels of base, shadow, and highlight as well. So, and then, I'm going to give you the honest opinion. Would I recommend these for beginners? Would I recommend these for, intermediate painters and then advanced painters as well? And just an overall honest and true review of this paint set and, what you can really expect from them realistically. And then also do a little bit more of a deep dive into them and see how do they react with each other. How do they work when we mix them together, mix them with the various medium to kind of, dilute the pigment, but not lose the effect of the speed paints. And then, of course, we want to see if we do want to take these paints to the next level, if we do want to add in some extra highlights or do some additional shading or anything like that. Is it functional? Do we have to worry about that? Obviously, there have been quite a few videos already, but I plan on taking it to the next level with these. So let's kind of dive right in and stay tuned for additional content looking at exactly what we can expect from these. So depending if you are watching the initial video here or if you are tuning in later after I've already done all these tests and everything, you can stay tuned in this video or check out the next video in the series and see how well the Army Painter speed paints and the megasets perform. So, in full disclosure, these were sent to me by Army Painter at no cost. I'm not obligated to do a positive review or anything for that matter, but I do want to go ahead and show these off realistically and see, do they really live up to the hype? And are they going to be a tool that everyone should have in their tool belt? Are they specifically for beginners, intermediate painters, or can someone like myself, an advanced painter, use them as well? So basically want to make sure and test these things, take them to the full limit and see what are some of the effects a normal person would expect to get out of these with minimal effort, and can they slay the gray and get some models on the tabletop? And then also I want to see if you decide to take your models to the next level, what you can expect as well. So make sure you tune in for a continuation of the Army Painter Speed Paint series and an honest look at these paints and what we can achieve with them. So that's it for today, Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man. Make sure to like and subscribe for Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team, Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, and Warcry content as well. All types of miniature wargaming, everything from our D&D, Warhammer Quest, and then of course all kinds of tutorials on painting, modeling, crafting, pretty much anything to do with the hobby. So that's it for today, Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm ready to dive in on these things. But in the meantime, I'm out of here.